G'day and welcome to my garage. This video will be about my garage itself. I'm going to put walls back on it and enclose it in. That requires a wall along that side with a single door, entry door, and then across the front the cladding, and a 8-foot garage door, which I'll probably do in 4 sections by 2 bifold doors. But let's start with a brief history of the garage. I moved to this property nearly 38 years ago. Christmas 2021 will be 38 years. We've had 4 children growing up. My wife's never worked, so it's been a single income family all that time. So there's been money constraints. But before I ramble on, let's have a quick look around the outside so you can see the basic construction of the garage, and we'll go from there. So here's the front wall of the garage. The striped canvas tarp there is just to cut out most of the draft. Been up for many years, but as you can see, there's a little bit of wall on that side and none on the other side, and no door, so that'll get 2 bifold doors. Let's go to the eastern side. So here we have the east wall, and there's no wall there at all. What a mess. Got to clean this up. Now this is the western wall. There was originally fibro. This was a closed up garage many years ago. There was fibro on it, but when I first came here, that fibro was broken and pieces missing. It wasn't any good. You'll see there's a gap where that flue's coming out. You'll see there's a fresh air gap up top there. I think there was perspex up there. I don't know for sure. There was nothing there when I came, but I did notice in the early days there were screws and half a dozen pieces of broken perspex. So I think there was perspex up there. I'm just looking at the top here. I don't know if you can see that, but the eave has broken off. I'll have to fix that. This bit on the back. This bit on the back is a garden shed that I'll put across the back. So where it joins here is the garden shed. I've taken the majority of that wall out on the inside, so the original garage shed wall is gone. The frame is there, but there's no frame. No, there's no frame. There's no frame from the original garage wall left there, and the majority of the tin shed wall was cut out, so that now runs through. So that shed is about 2.4 metres, 8 foot, and the main garage here is 24 or 27 feet. I think it's 24 feet. There's 4 main trusses that hold the roof up, 1 on each end and 2 in the middle, and they're 8-foot sections. So that's 3 8-foot sections, 24 feet. So this quickly, where those doors are just there. That's after that is the back 1/3 and the garden shed. That's a lock-up area for my tools. And the other 2/3 of them, the original garage, is where I have all my rubbish. that thing there is the reason why I'm putting my walls back up and lock up doors. You'll see here, I know it's bad with the backlighting there, but you'll see here two old style wheels. They and their frame have to come off. Originally they were part of a tilting door mechanism. There would be a wire rope attached to the door up there somewhere, running down to that wheel, up and over that wheel, down, and then a large weight that weighed around 50 or 60 kilos hung off that weight. I'll reposition the camera so we can see a bit better. Alright, so I'm on the outside of the garage. Now this, if you remember, is the garage door position. It's all a bit close. I've got a small table out here I don't want to move. So don't know, let's see if we can see this. Wrong way. Alright, so that hole, where is it? That hole just there. That was the pivot point for the garage door. The garage door was a one-piece door. It's about 7 foot, 2.1 metres tall, 8 foot wide, 2.4. It was a one-piece door pivoting on the hole there, and then the counterweight was attached to the door and it would swing it up. So that pivoting hole is only about 5.5, a bit under 6 foot, bit under, about 1700 millimetres tall, 1.7 metres tall. So the door would swing on that. The door would swing on that, swing up like that. So this point out here and the back point, well, the back point was lower than the pivot point, and the outside point, the front point, or the bottom of the door, was up about just under 6 foot high. No, it was actually a little bit higher than 6 foot. I could just walk under the edge, under the tip of the door when it was tilted. But the back end of the door, back here, if you remember, the door's like this, it was down around 5 foot. I belted my head on that stupid door probably a dozen times in the few years that I had it up. The cousin of my wife, a good mate of mine, Tom, I don't know how many times he belted his head. Because he wasn't living with it all the time, he used to drop in on weekends. If he didn't hit his head on that stupid door 50 times, I'd be amazed. It was a stupid arrangement. So when I decided to take the walls off this part of the garage and open it up, because the fibro was rubbish, couldn't afford to resheet it. And I would have had to have built a new frame like I'm doing now, because there was hardly any timber in it. I've lost my train of thought. When I took the two walls down, I decided to take the door down. It wasn't any use anymore. So, yeah, after all these years, I'm putting walls up with a proper frame, and probably a 2x4 doors for the garage door itself. Anyhow, I've got to cut those wheels and frames off. I need to fit this stirrup in line with the new wall that's going in. So I've got to dig out some of the old concrete and bricks so I can get I'll have to cut this off, but I want about this will be a brick high out of the ground and the rest in the ground, so I'll take that plate off, just put a spigot through the end. So some backyard archaeology going on. The history of this place, when I came here 38 years ago, there was no concrete, no paving, dirt and grass everywhere. So this garage, it had a dirt floor. Alright, so I need to start. I need concrete. I want a carport one day. But first thing, I need to put a floor in the garage, because it was only dirt. So, like I said, there was no concrete here anywhere. I was new to the place, so I didn't know its flood history. That becomes apparent a little bit later. So I cleaned up levelled out the floor as best I could by hand with a mattock, shovel, rake. Took about 2 inches out. Put it around the yard, filled up some hollows. I then put I would presume it's 36 years ago, I would have at least put a 3-inch floor in. Maybe 4, but I'd probably not. So I put a concrete floor in. About a year later, we had some very heavy rains, and the yard flooded. The floor in the garage wasn't too bad, but the yard flooded. And I thought, oh well, I need to build the yard up to stop the flooding. So I did that over time. Put quite a few tons of dirt in, built the yard up and sloped it off to the fence line, so that when it did flood, it only flooded around the fence line not in the centre of the yard. That worked till we had another big rain, and then because the yard is now raised, so the yard is this height, and the original floor is this height, 2 and 2. The garage floor gets flooded. You rotten thing. So well, hang on, that's not the original concrete there. Oh no, that's not the original concrete. That comes later, I think, because I then covered the floor with road base. I put the brick edge in, filled it up with some road base, which is here. So that is the concrete floor. Filled it up with road base, about 2 inches, and then I had plenty of these second-hand pavers. I put pavers on top of the road base. So this floor is probably a 3-inch concrete slab, 2 inches of road base on top of that, and then what are these pavers, 1.5 inches thick, 2 inch, can't remember now, they might be 2-inch pavers. So I still get some localised flooding. I'm on a low property here. All the water and rubbish in the street seems to flow into my property. So on a very heavy rain, this garage floor will still get wet, but not so much from flooding, but from the water coming down the driveway and the local water around, but mostly from the driveway. That floods the back end of the garage where that shed is, but not too bad. It only gets about 10 millimetres of water in there on a really heavy rain. I have a sump in the backyard, a plastic 44 gallon drum with a sump pump inside that, and it pumps the water out. Does a good job, dries the yard out. So I've got to get through this 3-inch concrete. I don't have a electric jackhammer. I don't have any jackhammer. What I've got is a hammer and the masonry chisel. So I'm getting it stuck into it. I put about an hour into it yesterday. So I'm back at the hole. Well, I haven't left the hole. It took me about an hour and a half to get this far. But we're at the hole, and let's have a look what the archaeological dig has proven to be. There's the old frame bracket. Going to see if I can cut it out. Hey Bruce.
Can I give a hand?
Yeah. So what I'll get you to do is just poke that in around. There's a hole there somewhere.
Okay.
Well, as you can see here, the stirrup is in. It's been a couple of days. Yesterday was a cold and rainy day, so nothing got done. So now I'm putting one course of bricks across there. All right, that'll do.